So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I have two members from the band Vajra, and they're a band from New York City, and they play progressive, melodic type of metal with some different influences to them, and we're here to talk all about it. So, first of all, how are you guys today?
We're well, thank you.
Okay.
We're hibernating inside because it's freezing in New York already. So we're still not ready for it. We wish we were in Puerto Rico.
Yes, it's never freezing here. So tell us your name and obviously what you do in the band.
Sure, I'm Ana Maria. I'm the founder and vocalist, writer in Vajra.
And my name is Dave. I am the lead guitar player, and occasional bass player, but mostly guitar player. So I'm multi-instrumentalist.
Awesome. And I know the band has been going now strong, like for almost 10 years now, correct?
True, yeah.
So tell us a little bit, about, because I was reading, there's like band, like magazines like Rolling Stone, Revolver, and Loudwire, giving props to the band. And yeah, this is the type of like metal with rock that I like. I like the vocals, I like the melody. So tell us a little bit about the background of the band and how you guys got together and how did you came up with the sound of Vajra?
Sure, and thank you. That's cool to hear. I started the band. I'll take a step back. I was working in a corporate job, and I felt like I was breathing recycled air and sitting under artificial light, wasting the best years of my life. And even though my parents, who always want the best for me, but they're school teachers and they come from an immigrant mentality, which is like lawyer, doctor, doing the arts was not something that my brother and I were encouraged to pursue, except as a hobby. But I felt this tension. I had played an instrument since I was 6, danced since I was 3. I always loved the arts. I love to perform, and I love to create. And so I felt this tension as I was sitting in this office, and I had worked so hard for this job, and I just felt like my soul was turning, it was rotting inside, basically. And I said, well, I had to face myself. I had to look myself in the mirror and say, what do I really want in life? Because I could live my life and make a lot of money and do what everybody thinks you should do, and work at a prestigious place, and then be on my deathbed thinking about the other life I could have had. And so I said, you know what, I'm not going to be happy unless I pursue my art. And so I left this amazing job, very comfortable position at a very prestigious law firm, and I moved to India. And there I wasn't sure if I wanted to act or if I wanted to dance or if I wanted to write music. And so I started doing all three. And I did a feature film. I taught some Bollywood dance when I was in India. And then I started writing our debut album, Pleroma, and kind of went through another cycle of, well, who am I and what do I really want? Because there's limited time, and how are you going to focus your energy? And so I just felt this satisfaction and control also, I think, from creating something from its inception, from nothing, and manifesting it. So it was music, and I made the choice that it would be music. So I started writing the debut album. I wrote the demo in my bedroom, mainly because it's so hot in Mumbai, India, that the only room I had AC was my bedroom. So I was like, okay, I set up on my bed. I also had another setup, and it was just like a home studio, Pro Tools, Reason, keyboard, little MIDI controller. And I wrote the demo, and then I got in touch with a friend of mine, Blake Fleming, who used to drum in the band, the Mars Volta. And I said, I asked him, do you want to drum on this? He said, let me hear it first. And so I was like, okay. So he listened to it. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. So we kind of recorded unconventionally. I had the demo of vocals, keyboards, some drum parts, some bass line stuff, some guitar here and there, less guitar than every other instrument for some reason. And we recorded the drums first, and then I set off to find a bassist, and that was another difficult front, but I had all the time in the world because we hadn't come out yet, and I wanted to make sure that the right people were involved. So there was a local guy who was playing in some of the local bands, and he's amazing. He since has moved on from our band and now is playing with Dolly was playing with Dolly Parton. So these
now
guys
he's lost. Nobody knows where
no one knows where he is right now. But he was we think he went back to Salt Lake, but we're not really sure. So so he played bass on it, and Doug Wright, and he just, like, the drums and the bass were amazing. So I had a rhythm section that was recorded, still did not have guitar recorded. The keyboards I had already recorded, so that's there. And then the demo vocals with my vocal melodies and vocal lyrics were pretty much done. But I wanted to go into the studio, and that was last. But so I found a guitarist who was from my hometown. His name is Will Dahl, and everyone's like, Will Dahl, Will Dahl, Will Dahl, because the guitar parts for Pleroma and for the rest of the music is not guitar driven music. It's more guitar is like an atmospheric or color that comes in to accentuate certain parts, but it also is percussive at times. So the rhythm's very important to me. So when I listen to music, I hear drums and bass first, and guitar I hear, but guitar is only going to assist to the other music. So Will was perfect because he could understand that. He wasn't just trying to just go crazy, doing like Eddie Van Halen licks, which is amazing, but just not what I wanted to do. And so then we recorded the guitar. So now I had, and we did that all in Brooklyn here. I was self-producing, and it was my first album, so I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I was just working off of instinct, what I liked and what I knew. And like I said, I have musical training, and I took composition at Juilliard. But when you're doing it yourself, what does any of that mean if you can't just do it yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I was doing it on the fly, just experimenting, and reading Mix magazine and how does Joe Barresi record Tool's guitars, for Fear Inoculum, it's like this kind of, whatever it was, the album that came, 10,000 Days, I guess it was at the time. And so after that, I got in touch with Sylvia Massey. So what I found is I can produce everybody else, but when it came to my own vocals and my own vocal takes, I was like, oh my God, is that what I sound like? I was having trouble. So I asked Sylvia Massey, can you help me with my vocals and recording my vocals, and just help me produce the vocals in terms of selecting the takes, because I just couldn't do that. And she's like, sure. So I went to Weed, California, recorded with her. She mixed it, and then went down to LA and mastered with Tom Baker. And that was Pleroma. And when it came out, when it was done, we all looked at each other and we're like, what do you think? Because they're like, we have no idea how this is going to turn out. Recording so unconventionally, not all in one room.
You were ahead of times.
I know, you again, instinct, and so then everyone loved it. Everyone was like, fuck yeah, this is great. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, you want to play some shows? We started playing some shows, and that's how it started. And then of course, lineup changes, people get married, people have kids, you can't travel, they move away.
Or they disappear as the bass player did.
They ghost you.
Yeah. So so then lineup changes, and then Dave I had known. So when I was living in India, I would come back and blitz working for a month, and then go back to India and write and do my creative stuff. So I was at one of the local bars here in New York that all the musicians used to go to after shows and stuff, and that was called the Three of Cups. And I met Dave there, and we started chatting and had similar like backgrounds living upstate. He summered upstate, and I was living upstate. I grew up upstate. And so we just kind of kept in touch. And when I needed a guitarist, I reached out, and he was like, yeah, I'll come down and audition. And I'm like, Dave Sussman's gonna audition. Now, Dave was playing with a band called Bile, industrial metal, like pioneers. These guys were, let him say, because he was in the band.
Bile was cool. We toured with bands like KMFDM and Pigface and Thrill Kill Cult, and our singer was also in Pigface. But Bile wasn't doing anything, and I was looking for another band to play with. And this came along, and I was just like, I didn't come down to audition. I came down knowing I would be in the band.
I mean, yeah, we both knew. We both knew.
But I auditioned. Of course, I had to learn the songs. I was a fan. So let's step back. I knew her album and I knew her band. I was at their first shows in New York City, and I absolutely loved the music. So when it came down to like, oh, I can actually join this band. Oh, I spent a long time learning the guitar parts and all that stuff. I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing,
So when we started off, like, no one, female fronted progressive metal was not happening. There was not happening in New York or in the States or anywhere. I mean, like, it was something that people were like, you want to do prog rock? Isn't that old man stuff? And I was like, are you kidding me? Tool? Hello. Female fronted, like that kind of a vibe, or Perfect Circle vibe, with female. So it was different. A lot of the stuff in New York at that time was like sleaze metal or
bar band,
yeah, blues rock stuff. And it's cool, but like, let's think of something outside the box and something that moves us a little more rhythmically, something a little fresher. So that's what we were doing. So it was cool to hear that he was a fan, because at that time, I'm like off the mark from anybody else. And if we were like, who do you sound like? We're like, we sound like ourselves. Who the fuck do we sound like? I have no idea who we'd certainly not like anybody else in the scene. We were always the oddball. And quite honestly, we're still the oddball.
We're always the oddball.
It's okay.
Any show we play, we're the odd man out.
We're always
the odd woman out.
So
it's better to stand out than to like sound like everyone else. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're just following like I said, following the instincts. That's all you can do. And if you're honest and true, that's going to be way more potent mix than just, biting off of something else that's already there. A regurgitation doesn't make any sense,
And now female fronted, like progressive, like this Oceans of Slumber, which is a band that I love. It's more common and accepted now, where but you're everywhere. Yeah, your band is kind of progressive, but it has like a modern type of feel, like in the music, fast songs. It's because sometimes people think prog and they think like slow. Not necessarily, like you said, Tool and Perfect Circle, for example. So you put out that album, you put a few EPs, but now you released a cover of a Pat Benatar song.
Yeah,
a cool one. I love "Love Is a Battlefield." Like, tell me who came up with the idea to cover Pat Benatar?
Well,
I think it was me.
Yeah. So like, I've been warming up to that song. So I like to warm up to like 80s female band, like pop artists, basically. It just helps to open my head voice. And, so I was warming up to that song for a while. And then we were talking about doing a cover. We do one cover over the course of our time that we've been around. We've done one cover, and the one cover is Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun by Floyd, and we only do it live. So we said, we're toying with the idea of a cover. What cover would we do? We need something that we could Vajra size. So we wanted to make it our own. We wanted to make it something that we could put our stamp on and add our spice and our juice to, because like I just said before, regurgitation is like, what are we doing if we're not, like, there's no reason. I'll just rather listen to the original band or the original song. So we needed some song that had room to do that. And we were driving down the thruway, and the song came on the radio, and I sang to it, and Dave was like,
That's the song. We're gonna do that one because it just sounded so cool the way she was singing to it, and it, you know, it she has a voice that is powerful, but it doesn't sound like Pat Benatar. So she was singing in her own voice to this song, and I was like, that's a great marriage right there, because it all already has our spin on it the way she was singing it, and then we took it further, which you can, you know.
well, so then what we did is we were in my childhood bedroom home, and we started playing with like the bass lines. So that was the start. I had my keyboard out, he had his bass out, and we were just trading ideas with like messing around with the bass lines. And then we went into the studio, and Jimmy put down a beat to it, and it was really awesome. And then we kind of recalibrated all of that again when we went into the studio.
Right, we were playing it drum, bass, and vocal, and that's what we had when we went to record it, because we didn't have a guitar player. I was playing bass at that point, so I was concentrating on the bass.
The bass, and then Sahaj was like, "What about this on the guitar?" And it was awesome. And we were like, "Yep, that's it." And so then, you know, my vocal delivery didn't really change. Pretty much stayed the same. But I have to say that when I was going through the vocals, you know, I'd ask myself what the lyrics meant. Like, what am I trying to say? What does this mean for me? And what might it have meant to Pat? I have no idea, right? But
is love really a battlefield?
Right. I mean, what is the battlefield? Love, part of love is a battlefield? And like, who are we talking about? What are we talking? Of course, we know the video is another interpretation. So I had to come up with my own interpretation for it to be real for me, for it to really resonate for me in order to be able to sing it. And, you know, I think what came out, I had an idea of what I was saying and what the lyrics meant to me, but I think also what was coming out of me was a lot of what we were going through at the time, which was coming out of COVID, you know, COVID and being locked down, and the sense of, you know, everything that was before is not now. And so where are we, and who are we? And, you know, all the mile or guideposts are different now. And, yeah, remember, we're mortal, and we're only here for a short period of time. And so, you know, what does that mean? And I had also had a health incident that was extremely painful and difficult to go through. And so I think some of that was coming through in the lyrics and the delivery, the vocal delivery of the song.
Yeah, no, it's a cool cover, and I like it sounds like you made it your own. Because I like the original, but I think the flair of the metal thing went with the way that you guys did it. So yeah, I was like, yeah, and I think no one has covered this song. I haven't heard a cover of this song, right?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I did a little research. I mean, there's obviously, you're going to find covers on YouTube and stuff, but I don't think anyone's really covered it and put it out, released it as a single, you know, that kind of thing. And to be honest, I was quite surprised that.
Yeah, because like, everyone's covered Depeche Mode.
Yeah, that's true.
It's been so done, like, yeah, let's cover something different.
Manson, Lacuna Coil, yeah, right.
Oh yeah, they've covered, yeah. Oh, Lacuna Coil. There's a band that has some cool covers, like they have done like REM. And they make it like sound like a Lacuna Coil song.
Yeah, so, yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah, I could see your band and that band like meshing well together on stage. So you put out that single now, and you put out a few EPs in 2021. So what is next for Vajra right now? Are you working on new original music?
Yeah. So we have another album that's going to come out next year. So we're finishing the new music. We're also starting the videos, because, you know, we do the videos ourselves, 100% DIY. So we're working on that as well. And yeah, we're looking at the next release for possibly spring. Don't quote me yet. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. See how it goes. And then it'll be the second album in the trilogy of albums. So we have this trilogy exploring consciousness. Arcala was the first first piece in the trilogy, and that's Arcala is a Sumerian word for the underworld. So it's the lowest level of consciousness. It's you know, ego, it's selfishness, it's superficiality, all of this. And now we're moving into the second level, and I'm not going to tell you what the name of it is, but of course we have the name for the second, we have the name for the third already. And
People will have to wait.
You have to wait.
But not that long. Well, everything's, you know, in the process of being finished for the second one. So it won't be long now.
And we've already started working on the third. So but very like minutely just toying with ideas and like starting the initial pieces of the demo, like the demos for the new songs for the third.
Awesome. So we're almost at the end of the year. So I like to ask people like what is your favorite album of the year, like so far? So yeah.
That's a tough question for me.
It's tough. Yeah. If you want to strictly talk new things that came out this year, I have no idea.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what came out this year.
Or if not, what are you currently listening to?
It's funny. I'll answer first because it just came. I'm not listening to rock or metal. I'm listening to playlists that have, you know, like that ancient Greek.
Yeah, this morning we were listening to ancient Greek music.
Yeah.
Over coffee.
I love metal. Obviously, I'm a metal guy. I grew up listening to it, you know, and it's what I love. But sitting at home, I can't throw on some loud guitar and screamy vocal stuff. I have to chill out and relax. And you know, we live in Manhattan, so you walk out the door and you're at a metal concert. The whole street is freaking like a mosh pit, you know. So I want to relax. So I've been listening to a lot of relaxing stuff. So
yeah. I mean, we share a household, so I mean, we're listening a lot to the same stuff.
I could tell. I think you guys are together.
yeah.
So it's you know, we were listening to ancient Greek music. We were listening to nature sounds, and you know, the other night I listened to classical Hindustani mantras.
Mm-hmm.
It is not, I can't say that we're listening to all brand new music. I might listen to a song or here or there, but I've been listening, maybe because we're finishing this album, but to a lot of more ancient or soundscapey pieces, and binaural beats, you know, and more soundscapey gong stuff. So that's kind of where my head is right now. That being said, I also listen a lot to Tori Amos recently for some reason. And of course it's Tool. We just, you know, went to one of their shows because they're on tour and we're supremely inspired. They're always a great inspiration. And maybe some 80s retro stuff. We were listening to more.
Sisters of Mercy. I'm loving Sisters of Mercy right now, even though, you know, growing up I really didn't listen to them. We just saw them in Brooklyn maybe half a year ago or 6 months, and what a great show. And the guitar players were awesome, you know, obviously not the original guys, but I thought it was a great show. You know, a lot of people are criticizing what Sisters of Mercy have become, but I loved it. You know, I thought it was great. You know,
so we didn't really answer your question.
No.
No, you did kind of. So yeah, so I know you guys played a few shows like in October, but now you're concentrating on the new album. So are you planning to release the new album next year and possibly do more shows?
Yeah, we're actually like in the middle of that with our booking agent now, just trying to like coordinate and release at around the same time, and you know, do some shows off of the release.
Yeah, we just did a very short run of shows in October with September Morning, and that was actually a lot of fun, and I thought our bands gelled well together. And it
was cool to be on the road with them.
It was cool.
So now trying to figure out exactly the timing and just coordinate everything. So that's what it is. But we've already started the ball rolling. You know how it goes. It's like a
The
huge
ball always has to
process.
roll. It's like a boulder. You have to, you can't let it sit still. You have to.
Have to make sure,
have to make
keep
sure it's
patting
at
it, to make
least
sure it
rolling a
keeps
little bit.
rolling. Otherwise, you got to put all this effort again into starting. So yeah,
Somebody told me that that
Analogy.
comparison, that analogy last night, and it stuck with me.
Simile, actually.
It's a simile. It's a comparison without like or as, or it is
Simile is like or
with
as.
like or as.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, I hope I can't wait to listen to the new album. I listened to the single, but I listened to your older material, and yeah, it sounds really cool. It's the type of like metal that I enjoy,
Right.
with the vocals, and I like vocals where you can sing and understand, but also you have an aggressive side sometimes, but also melody. So yeah, I would recommend Vajra to people who like symphonic metal, progressive metal. Like if you like bands like Lacuna Coil, to like anything female fronted that is like symphonic, I think you will enjoy this, because it's that type of vibe. So I want to thank the both of you for taking some time this afternoon to chat with me a little bit about the band. So
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
yes.
Thank you.
So I'll post the link for people so they can see the music video or your website, so they can go and know more about the band and listen to the music that you guys have, and get ready for new music.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, everything's on the website. All the links, all
I'll put the website on the comments.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there.
Awesome. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and
Awesome.
goodbye.